which I'm going to say a few more words about. And what we're actually doing, you might notice if you've been coming to our meetups, that we are going to mix things up a little bit and do things a little bit differently. So we're going to actually lead with some of our announcements and some of our guest speakers, and we're going to finish off with some of the Moonshot activity that we usually do. So in about a minute or so, Sam and I are going to tell you a couple things, and then we're going to transition to hearing from our membership about cool stuff going on in the network or other announcements that they'd like to make. And then we actually try to shut down the meetup at noon, but because we're going to finish with working groups, the room's actually available till about 1. So we ask that if you stay that long, and you're welcome to stay into beyond the noon hour, to just like clean up your stuff and take it with you. I'll repeat that in a minute, because at 1 o'clock we do have to have this place spick and span and be out of here. Great, so that's the segment we call business time afternoon. If you just want to hang around, do some business, use our space to have meetings or whatever, just leave no trace. Ask Dave Build if you don't know what that means. So leave no trace at the end, and then we'll move on. Cool. So here we go. Not working. Cool. So I just wanted to welcome all of our new members. It's really exciting because we went through this fall membership process. Many of you were asked to submit data and probably don't remember that fondly, but it's done. And as of January 1, 2015, we're able to report that Hive Chicago has grown again this year. We're now 64 members, and there's 2 flavors of membership. Members are members, and all members are valuable to us. But we have 2 flavors: those that do youth service, direct youth service, and are nonprofits. Those are our partner members. They're eligible for funding from the Hive Chicago Fund for Connected Learning. And we have affiliate members who don't necessarily do direct service to youth, or maybe are for-profit organizations who are not eligible for direct funding from the fund. Both of those groups, affiliates and partners, are members, and members enjoy a range of different opportunities despite the Hive Fund in particular, but also the Hive Fund, or in addition to the Hive Fund, rather. We also have a new category of non-member, which we try to formalize this year. It's a work in progress, and those are allies. And so a lot of times we get questions, maybe from people in the room today, maybe from people who have asked you directly, colleagues that you work with out in Chicago, how do I become a Hive member? What do I need to do? And I really want you guys to think about the ally opportunity, and that's just hivechicago.org/ally, ALLY, as a way for us to catch people, organizations who are interested in making a contribution to our network and maybe aren't going to be members, or want to do something now, want to be recognized in some way. The membership process is like a once-a-year thing, so this is a catch-all. Also, as organizations feel like they need to, I'm very too close. This one's better, maybe? I don't know, whatever.
You're just too loud.
I'm just so loud. I don't even need it. Behind. Thanks, man. So I'm just going to shout it because I can't keep it a couple inches. I'm just going to screw it up. Yeah, all right, Mike's supposed to be up. Yeah, man, I got a tight schedule here. You're keeping me, that's my flow. All right, so I'm already over. So so think about allies in that way. And we're really excited about that process. And we're excited about our new members. This is a list of them. You saw them out today. The weather's a little tough today, if you haven't noticed, so we don't hold it against anyone who couldn't make it out. And I hope people are watching. They are. There's 5 viewers online right now, so that's another way, if you can't make it out sometimes, to connect with us through our Google Hangouts on air, which are streamed to YouTube. We're still working on our distribution of membership and participating organizations. These are just members, and these are just their home bases. So for instance, not every public library is on this map, although the Chicago Public Libraries are a member of the Hive. But we're really trying to work on our coverage. We want to reach as much of Chicago as possible. And so that's something that I want you to think about as you imagine inviting new partners to the network. If you know organizations that are doing great work in places that we're not serving, bring them to these meetups, bring them to our network. And then here's some really, really top level numbers. There's been a change. If you've seen these numbers before, which you may not have, but we presented them to at the CEO executive breakfasts and stuff like that. The numbers have changed a little bit, and I need to dig into why, but we're still refining that data collection process. And it's very interesting to be collecting data and asking our members to give us this information, because it does start to paint a picture about the power of our network and the ways in which we're allocating resources. And that is information that actually doesn't really exist in many places. So it's unique information that we're getting and collecting about membership. So I know those forums can be a pain, but they're very, very valuable, I think, for the future of what we can do as a collective body. And I think one of the most interesting things we did, was collect up all of your titles, job titles. And this was just, I think, for curiosity's sake, but it's cool to put that on one of these, like, whatever the word clouds, and take a look at, like, the diversity of people who are actually in the room at meetups, right? So this isn't just like our executive representation that you gave me their name and their title or something. These are people who've, like, signed into events at the Hive. So it's pretty cool to see that diversity of roles, responsibilities, and a hierarchical, like, levels in organizations, both simultaneously. All right, so that was a little intro about our new membership. From here, I wanted to hand it over to Sam, who's gonna just welcome you guys this morning, and then we're gonna go into a couple other items. So thank you for listening, and as I blather on. And here you go, Sam, first slide, right? Look at that transition.
Hey, nice. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Can we just give ourselves some love for being here? I mean, it's like no degrees outside. There are no degrees in Chicago today, and if they are, they're negative. But still, really, like last night, we're like, should we cancel the meetup? It's, you know, Siberian out here, Siberian. But no, people show up. This is beautiful. Thank you for being here. We hope you find the time that we spent together really valuable. So I have the privilege of just giving you a little bit of broader context for the work that we're doing, for who we are, what we care about, and how we do work together. Yeah, so I'll start. So who we are, you're already experiencing who we are. The meetups that we have are times to make connections. So we often start the meetups with a connections activity, and you already had the opportunity to connect to new members. Robert talked about the particularly the overall membership process, to give you a sense of the organizational members that are part of the network. We also have membership status for individuals as well, as recognized through the Hive Community Member Badge. So who we are really is about the community first and foremost. Just so you know who we are, the staff. Sorry for the resolution there, it's not great. Especially against a white sky. Sorry, you can't see who. But that's me. My name is Sam Dyson, Director of Hive Chicago. The person from whom you were just hearing is Robert Friedman, Portfolio Strategist. Give a wave, Robert. And Elsa Rodriguez, who you heard from at the start of the day, Programs Manager. And in case you don't know us and know who we are, what we do, to give you just a broad sense, the work of the Portfolio Strategist, the work that Robert is doing, is about making the network a strong context from which innovations can grow. That means helping to oversee things like the membership process and steward the Moonshot work, which you'll hear more about in a moment if you are new. And even working alongside of folks who are developing new collaborative proposal ideas to take to the Hive Fund. And that's critical work for making the context rich for innovative collaborations. And the work that Elsa is doing is really critically about supporting the programs that grow from that rich context. That might take the form of supporting maker parties that have, over the last year, served thousands of young people and families throughout Chicago. Or it might mean supporting the cohorts of newly funded projects to make sure that the programs that they provide for young people are as impactful as possible. The work we do and that you do critically is really critically supported by these two individuals, and I hope we could just give them a little bit of love, because what they do is really exceptional and important. In addition to the Hive network staff, I don't know, Robert, maybe is there a way to change the color balance on that thing? Okay, let's just move on. Okay, we're also partnered in a very important way with the Hive Fund for Connected Learning at the Chicago Community Trust, which provides incubative innovation funding for new collaborative projects. Projects that aren't for your individual work, but for your new work in collaboration with other partner members, affiliate members, or non-members of the network. And so Maria Hibbs is the executive director of the Hive Fund, and Sana Joffrey is the newly hired program associate. We hope that you have a chance to meet her soon. Unfortunately, they were both unable to be here today, traveling to warmer places like Toronto. And just so you know how our work is supported by key stakeholder organizations, 5 years ago, the MacArthur Foundation provided the seed funding to launch Hive Chicago, the second Hive Learning Network after Hive NYC, which is still healthy and strong. And they provide support for other Hive initiatives supported through the Mozilla Foundation. The Mozilla Foundation employs the 3-person staff team that supports Hive Network, but also supports the network in New York, the network in Toronto. There is another network in Pittsburgh as well that's not run by Mozilla, but Mozilla also provides global support for the spread of Hive events, communities, and networks in other locales. And I mentioned the role of the Community Trust and the Hive Fund. We care centrally about teens. The people who come to these meetings, people who show up, are here because we want to better support young people's ability to learn and ways that are supported and advanced by digital media. So that's really the core of what we care about collectively. You have already begun to see, if you didn't know already, that the disciplinary spread of organizations is quite broad, from civic engagement to arts to STEM and so on, everything in between. And we have goals that are developed by this community, locally relevant and specific to our context. Goals to provide these young teens throughout Chicago more equitable access to the many opportunities we collectively provide, to make sure that those opportunities are not one-offs, but branch into learning pathways of opportunity for young people. We want to make sure that we're supporting and sustaining innovation, whether through funding or through other collaborative efforts, and we want that to have value beyond the network. Our shared vision here is for Chicago as a connected community where all learning counts. Those are our locally relevant goals that we are driven by. We also have an emerging set of global goals for the Hive Global Initiative, which Mozilla is helping to steward. And these big, hairy, audacious goals are driven by the desire to mobilize more educators who want to innovate, to invest in their ability to create strong programs and products for young people, to catalyze a growing number of organizations who can integrate those innovations in sustained ways, and to grow this in cities across the world. There are Hive activities that we plan through Mozilla's help to launch in as many as 500 cities this year, moving from events to communities, which are like networks but without the funding structure, and then being able to grow to networks at some later point. So that's what we care about. I will wrap it just by saying a little bit about how we work together. You already got a sense of how we work together by being in the room, by connecting. Connection is key. We will show in a little while later a nice little video synopsis of our 5th anniversary celebration, Hive Chicago Buzz, or Hive is 5, which we just had a month ago in January. And I want to use some of the iconography that came from that, prompted by Robert's good insight, to try to illustrate what we do. The core of what we do here is represented really by the bubbling, laboratory-like nature of this central Hive logo. The idea that what we do is built critically on our ability to create new opportunities, new innovations for young people in a way that's collaborative and that is generative. What bubbles up from that, we hope, will feed into a number of significant advancements to address some of our long-standing challenges. We produce solutions. That's what happens when a network comes together. But we don't necessarily have a way, or hadn't had a way until now, to make sure that those solutions address some of our biggest unmet challenges and opportunities. And so we developed this structure of moonshots. Moonshots are calls to action, and we have 6 of them. We have a moonshot around parent engagement, because parents are critical for making sure young people have access to opportunities. And if the adults don't know, young people often don't know. We have a moonshot for making sure data help inform our work throughout and across our efforts. A moonshot to bridge a connection between Hive and school, to make sure that connected learning really happens, and that the learning that happens in out-of-school spaces authentically and meaningfully connects to learning that happens in in-school spaces. We think youth need to be drivers of this and not just recipients of it. So we have a youth voice moonshot, and we have the Ultimate Hub, which is trying to create more opportunities for access and on-ramps to the many resources that exist that young people may not be aware of. Transportation is an issue for many of the same reasons as needing on-ramps, because young people can't attend or engage in the programs they can't get to. These represent our big challenges, and we have calls to action around that. But it's important to note that, as this icon suggests, the core work at the center is still collaborative program development together across organizations. That is still the core of what we do. As those little bubbles suggest, what comes from that collaboration ought to bubble up into and inform the work that we do through the moonshots. So that, think of the moonshots as a focusing framework, a way of reminding us as we produce solutions what the big challenges are that those solutions we produce should continue to address. As I close, I guess I just want to note that there needs to remain, of course, balance here. That is, if we have a network of people trying to do their core work of serving youth on the one hand, and trying to do collaborative new proposal development with partner organizations, and in a third space trying to do moonshot work, people are going to go crazy. There won't be balance, and it will be hard to sustain. So part of what we did last year was launching this moonshot process as a way of focusing our attention to things that need it. Part of this next year is, I think, about achieving balance and making sure that, in fact, the stuff you're paid to do in service of young people is the same as the stuff you're working on in collaboration with partners, and is the same as the work that feeds the moonshots. That they're not separate, and that there is balance, and that we have this focusing framework that makes sure we're slaying the big monsters that we otherwise would just simply have to bow to if we were working alone. So thank you for coming, and that's what we're trying to do. Robert?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so excellent, thank you. So with that context, it's probably reasonable to take a minute to look at the 4-minute video, which provides a little summary of what we did at our anniversary celebration together a month ago. Any celebration of the Hive's first 5 years has to be a celebration of the community of educators and youth.
There's many tangible examples to how Hive can support us informally as a collective, but also directly as we experiment and play with new ways that we can connect and work with youth.
It is not just a talk fest. It is not just educators inventing things in a vacuum.
It's going to allow us to do the things we really wanted to do and to do them in a more impactful way.
Partnership with the Hive makes us fresh, keeps us moving forward rather than doing the same old thing all the time.
Our goal is to fully activate solutions through an 8-hour hack day tomorrow. It's a day of connecting and making commitments.
I'm Jennifer with the Chicago Botanic Garden.
I'm Steve Weaver with After School Matters.
Gina Grant, I'm with the Chicago Architecture Foundation.
People call this a hack day. We're hacking on very particular solutions, which are the 6 moonshots that Hive Chicago is focused on. And those moonshots are transportation, parent engagement, Hive school connections, youth voice, ultimate on-ramp, and data, or the think tank as it's called.
We're going to figure out first which of the rideshare options we want to try to focus on.
You have to do a session teaching them how to use Google Maps to figure out their routes.
How do I turn this huge amount of qualitative data into quantitative data?
So we can say these are connected learning schools. Now we want to plug them into Hive, and that's our first step.
What if there was a day where there were a ton of maker parties going on across different neighborhoods that showed kids in their communities, like there's a ton of stuff in your community?
I participated in the Youth Voice group, and basically the goal of that group is to figure out how we can infuse the voice, the choice, the preferences of youth into the work of the Hive.
How can it be about the youth if you're not incorporating them, you're not letting them speak?
Why aren't we having meetings after school when young people can come, or summer times when we can come?
When I first joined, there were no moonshots. We had high-level ideas of where we wanted to go, but now in 2015, it's kind of like we have these moonshots, we have these directions that we want to go. So let's actually take the steps to work through them.
Our goal was to actively link and facilitate contact between teachers and Hive members organizations to further connective learning.
Participating Hive organizations will offer 6 professional development events.
We're calling it Hive Teen Membership Program.
The way was to be inspired, routing application for teams so they can take advantage of shared ride services.
This is the mock-up of the system. We have a landing page in which all the information about what this toolkit is all about.
Programs will be able to put their events on a site, and then it'll automatically get imported into various places, including the Chicago City of Learning.
It's about what's important to us as a network. It's about putting our words into practice and making what we want to do relevant.
Innovation doesn't happen without actually the on-the-ground stuff and the day-to-day perspiration and all of the work that you guys are doing. It's really put Chicago in an extraordinary place to really be at the forefront of really thinking about what new kinds of learning can look like and what it can look like across the city.
Take people with you. Let's get things done. It doesn't have to follow a script because, in fact, there is none. There's a vision, there's some calls to action, and we think it's going to lead to progress.
Yay. So that was a video produced by Nat Sodi's team at the Chicago Art Department, and they make magic. So that gave me some goosebumps when I first saw it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. It's not the final cut, so it's not on the website yet, but we'll make it public soon as we tweak a couple final bits. But I hope you really enjoyed that and show it to people when we get it out there. And I think I really love that Sam brought up or closed with the balance piece, because having been a person who's been in this network for 5 years almost, or 6 years, I don't know, whenever I started my job at the museum back in the day, it was always a challenge. It's always a challenge between finding that balance between the big things you want to push on and the immediate things you got to take care of. So I think that's I don't know if that's our theme for 2015, but it's a thing that we're actively hearing from you and want to think about how to better facilitate and better empower and prepare you for. So I'm going to close out this announcement section, this welcome and announcement section, with 2 important announcements. You can't really see her in the background there, but that's Maria Hibbs, so I'm channeling her right now. And I just wanted to, on behalf of the fund, announce that the next round RFP will be available on March 2nd. Do not wait till March 2nd to start cooking up some stuff, because it's going to look very similar to the last round, except for a large new exciting announcements, which I'll make in a second too, and then we'll hear a little bit more about. So if you've got ideas, if things didn't quite work out for the last round, get them into the next round, but don't wait to start. There's no big surprises coming. We're going to have a couple of different, I'll explain what the ISEIF workshop is in a second, but you should probably jot down these dates and times if you haven't. They're posted on Minigroup as events. You can RSVP through Eventbrite for these different events. We haven't figured out the application webinar date yet, but it'll be in late April, close to the submission deadline, when you really got those questions at the last minute that we need to answer. So we're thinking a little bit better about how to support the progression from ideation to completion of the work too. They'll be due in May. I didn't put any other dates on there, but I can tell you, say them verbally. Our proposals will be due in May. Announcements will come in July. Funding will land in August, with the goal of preparing you for the school year. So we've really shifted a lot of these dates, which has been both accommodating and frustrating simultaneously, to better line up with key start and end dates for programs. Continual improvements on that front. So a little bit, another word about the ISEIF challenge, which I note there in the workshop, is a really exciting new opportunity. We have members of the Illinois Science sorry, of course now I'm forgetting it. Can you just say Illinois Science and Energy Innovation Foundation, which I didn't get wrong once since I first heard it, but of course forgot up here. So ISEIF is a really awesome new organization. Not too new, but they are doing a lot of really cutting edge stuff on smart grid deployment in Illinois. So this is an opportunity to do something really dynamic. And I'm going to let Uzma and Claire come up. And actually, you're going to speak in a second, so if you guys want to get ready or whatever, and tell you a little bit more about what they do. But I want you to think not about this project opportunity, this challenge, not as this really, really narrow focus, but actually it's this really interesting broad opportunity to address some big things with young people that are cross-cutting, that are about STEM. There's no doubt that this requires young people and their communities and their families to learn more about STEM-related subjects, but it's a broader thing. So rather than say a lot about what it is exactly, I'm going to let Uzma tell you in 1 second, and I'm going to queue up the next set of speakers. So if you're on this slide, you are going to say something in this order for this amount of time. I hope you do that. I think I have everyone's slides in here, and I apologize if I messed that up. So just prepare yourselves. We're going to leave with Uzma from ISEIF. Uzma, you want to get cracking?
Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Robert, for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here and to see a really great turnout for such a cold morning, especially. So thank you for being here. A little bit about me. I'm Uzma Noor Mohammed from the Illinois Science and Energy Innovation Foundation, and we're a fairly new foundation. We've been around for about a year, and we fund collaborative projects that help educate Illinois residents about the current electricity grid and how it's transforming and becoming digitally enabled into a smart grid. And so this is a pretty game-changing thing. The most defining change is that there will now be a lot of different nodes, and you can kind of imagine the electricity grid that we currently have with the internet overlaid on top of it. So information and energy will be flowing in different directions. And one of the key pieces of technology that lets that happen is a smart meter in everyone's home. So the analog meter you have now will now be a digital meter, and that will be able to receive price signals from the utility and also send usage data about your energy usage to you directly, so you can check at any given time what your energy usage is, what it looks like, and you can budget accordingly. And so what that means for us with the smart grid at large is that we'll have a more stable grid, we'll have the potential for more clean energy, And we'll have no more estimated or monthly energy use data. So because you can check at any given time, this is especially important for low-income consumers or consumers who are seniors and are on fixed incomes, because then they can budget accordingly. It's not like they would just put a bunch of stuff and buy a bunch of things in the cart, if you imagine it that way, and then at the end of the month realize that they've overspent. So this way they can kind of budget really well. And so this leads to actually a lot of other exciting things too, that I think especially to this crowd would be exciting. We're gonna have a lot of new technology. We're gonna have connected home devices, so you'll be able to have connected appliances, smart dishwashers that know when to turn on to use the least amount of energy based on variable pricing. We'll be able to conserve more energy and be more efficient in our use of it. And also, and this is what's really key, is that we'll have access to insights from all of this data on how much energy we're using. So there are all these changes that are coming with the infrastructure and with technology, but ultimately the way we see this is that this entire change is really about people and boosting their energy awareness. So we're asking people a lot. We're asking them to think about these new things and make new decisions based on energy use data. And we're then promising that if you make these decisions based on this information, you'll be able to get these benefits. And so that's a lot, that's a pretty big ask. And so because the benefits come from the awareness of energy usage, we want to make sure that low-income consumers and senior consumers are not left behind because they have barriers to some of these resources and information and technology. And so we want to make sure that all residents can benefit from the smart grid and take advantage of the data that's coming out of the smart meters to save energy and to save money. And this is where the Hive network comes in. So we want to take this idea of the smart grid and put it into that sort of bubbling laboratory that Sam mentioned and see what solutions we can come up with. And so the challenge is really going to ask you to get involved and use youth as messengers to their parents, to their grandparents, and to their peers to better understand the smart grid and better understand the benefits and how to use some of that data that'll be coming out of the smart meters to conserve energy, save money, and realize these changes that are coming as a result of being able to access this data in real time. And so the RFP will be available on March the 2nd. The mixer will be on March the 3rd, like Robert mentioned. Both Claire and I will be there. Claire's the program director. If you could just wave. There she is. We'll be here too if you want to connect with us later on. Thank you very much.
That's great, because we did it. Thank you so much, Uzma. I really appreciate everything you said. And I hope you all, as you were listening to her, had the same kind of like, whoa, that's going to be hard for a lot of people. And what does that mean for people to access this thing? And what does that mean that it's happening, or it's happening, right? So that was a lot of the reaction I had when I first heard about it. I thought it was an exciting opportunity to get involved in that communication effort. So think about it, and I just want to make one point clear that I forgot to, which really, and we can geek out about this too at the mixer, but what's interesting about how we're structuring this challenge differently than, say, some of the things we've done in the past with like Burberry, for example, is that it's actually integrated into our regular RFP cycle. So what's nice about that is, although we're giving out minimum of 3 Spark Awards, if we get 5 amazing projects around this idea, there's still the potential for all 5 of them to be funded through the RFP as they would anyway. So that does mean that there's a little bit less of a risk, and that does open up more opportunity. It also means that these things are eligible to move up as catalysts and levers if these projects are developed in a way that enables them to grow and spread and reach more of an audience. In fact, we're anticipating at least 1 catalyst grant to come from these sparks. So that's part of what we're working towards, and we can talk a little bit more about what that means at the mixer. So if you have any even vague interest in this, come and talk, we'll unpack it, and we'll get into a little bit more detail. All right, and that was me eating up the rest of the 10 minutes it was generously granted. Okay, with that, I'm gonna start these sort of more high intensity time things. Jen, you're gonna lead off? All right, you are on the thing. So you have no choice. Go for it.
All right, hi, I'm Jen from the Adler, and I'm representing the CSTEMB group today. So that's the Community STEM Badging Ecosystem. And I just want to talk a little bit about what the equity group, we have 4 working groups in that larger project. And one of them is the equity working group, and it's around getting kids access to digital badges outside of the programs, and what are all of our challenges with that, and what are some of the resources. So we do have a blog if you're interested in what we've been talking about, but we are also very interested in starting up a resource page branched off of the Hive Chicago website, where we can just all together, including all of you, contribute the resources that we use to help kids get access to internet, to devices, to hotspots and things like that. And so this is a screenshot you can barely see. Oh, it's live on the Hive Chicago website. There's a resources page where I just dropped in some of the resources that we know about. If you have other things that you use in your programs or you tell your parents about, it'd be great if you can just shoot us a comment on our blog. So thank you.
Awesome. Did you want to also, there was another thing, right? Nope, that's, you're later again. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jen. Thank you so much. And she deserves a quick.
Hi, good morning. My name is Marcelo Capron from Columbia College Chicago, and we are new partners in the Hive from Scientists for Tomorrow. Our goal is to promote STEM in the communities through academic enrichment and promoting our teens and future teens to be better in what we can do, that is STEM. We are not an art, although we are in Columbia College, we are not an art and media group, we are a STEM group. We are now working in more than 40 communities, and now that you know what we are doing, I want to promote through this meeting the next big activity that we are doing, that is the STEAM conference. It's a conference that, in collaboration with the Center for Access and Success from Northeastern and Columbia College Chicago, we are promoting teens to present in the conference. The past year, we have more than 700 participants, sorry, and more than 40 parallel workshops. All the workshops were led by students, kids, teens. And I would like to invite all the organizations to join us this year, and we want to pass the 1,000. Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo. Next up, do we, Elsa, is this a presenter? Carol couldn't make it. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Did you want to say something about it, Ashley? We'll let Daryl do it. Okay, awesome. So up next, actually, is Jeff, who had to run because he had another.
No,
okay, awesome. Here we go.
That's why I'm running.
Yeah, I know. Oh. I appreciate it.
Real quick, less than a minute. How many people like wine? How many people like cardboard switching, if you know what that is? Oh, I feel like that's less. We're going to do them both, and you should come. Great introduction for folks that may not know what it is. At the Civic Lab, March 11th, $5 to guest donation. Fun!
Yeah! Woo! Jeff, you have a stage presence I was not aware of. Who do we got next? Is this Rabia? Are you sharing? Okay, cool.
Good morning. Wait, what? Oh, it's happening. What? Just right there. You're good. Too much instruction. I'm Rabia Mayes. I'm from the Museum of Science and Industry, and I wanted to talk about something I posted on the mini group, and I just want to acknowledge that I'm not a part of this initiative, but it looked really cool and something that I think we should be connected to. Some of you may know that last year the Chicago Community Trust celebrated its 99th anniversary with a program initiative that they called On the Table. They had about 1,100 mealtime discussions on that same day, May the 12th, which is the anniversary date, that brought together civic leaders, funders, educators, techies, all kinds of people to talk about what's happening in Chicago and in the general society, what kinds of ideas we should be thinking about, what are the great challenges we should all be focusing our energy on, etc. And it led to, after almost 12,000 people participating, a number of ideas that were vetted, screened, and ultimately led to what they call collaboratories. Was that my time? No, yeah, but that's okay. Sorry. So there are 6 of them that came out of this project, and they're all available on the website. The Gen G Project, Opportunity Hubs, Parent Engagement, Asset Mapping, Ranger Bench, and Sister Neighborhoods. And if you look at the descriptions of those on the website, they scream a lot of what we've been doing here in Moonshot work, but also a lot of what Hive is looking to do. So there are 2 opportunities. One is this March 11th. There's a collaboratories demonstration day where each of those working groups are going to present what they've been doing. It's free, it's open to the public. I made a little bit.ly that you can't see down there, but if you go to bit.ly Hive on the Table, That's the link to the event registration site. It is also in the mini group post that I posted this week. And then they're doing another on the table this May 12th. So if you're interested in attending or hosting, there is a link on the website to submit for that. So I'm attending. I think some other people from Parent Engagement are definitely going. Really strong connections to Opportunity Hub, possibly transportation. So I think it'll be good to represent. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much, Robin. And that goes high on the table, capital H, capital O, capital T, capital T. They're just Bitly's annoying like that. Okay, we have 2 interlopers who did not submit slides. They have 30 seconds each or less. Go.
All right, cool. I'm Dave from the Penny Note of Art Nature Museum. Just a quick announcement that this Sunday at the Nature Museum is our 3rd annual Volunteer Expo. It's about 75 organizations. It's not organized by me, but it's some of my colleagues and former colleagues from the Nature Museum. But yeah, 75 orgs. A lot of orgs from Hive are going to be there. It's free to get in. 11 to 4, if nothing else, just show up and you can get into the museum for free.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah.
Good morning, I'm Jeremy Denner from the Chicago Public Library, and I begged Robert for 30 seconds because I just wanted to highlight some exciting news from the Chicago Public Library. As you probably know, we expanded our U-Media sites this summer to 6 additional sites. 3 of our sites are regional libraries, Woodson, at 95th and Halstead, Sulzer in Lincoln Square, and Legler in West Garfield have brand new renovated U-Media sites that opened 2 weeks ago. That's your tax dollars at work. So I just wanted to highlight that those are bright, shiny, beautiful places for teens to go, and we're really excited about having those available to high schoolers. So just wanted to highlight that.
I love it when my tax dollars actually work. So I think you're up, Kyla. So Kyla's got an exciting little bit of stuff to tell you here. I just want to know, if you don't know what the Volunteer Expo is already, so that didn't ring a lot of bells, it's a great place to bring your friends who might want to volunteer but never got around to it, to quickly get introduced to opportunities. Great, that'll just be stalling. Go.
Very good. You guys have gave me a microphone. I feel like singing. Sunny days and the living easy. My name is Kyla Williams. I'm the Director of Operations from the Smart Chicago Collaborative. I'm here to talk about the Time Protect program. I'm going to be brief because we have a lot of other stuff to do today. We proposed the Time Protect program because we saw that there were some gaps and some needs. Basically, organizations are really busy. They have little to no internal resources to dedicate towards technology training of staff. Many of you are using tools, and some of them are really, really old, and they don't really meet your needs, but you're using them because that's all you got to conduct your business day to day. And also, you may be using something currently, and you're like me, and you really don't know how to use it right. You just click through it and figure it all out. So we are trying to attempt to, to solve that problem for you. So we created the Time to Tech program, which is basically a project to raise the aptitude of technology within your organizations and you individually. We wrote the program, we designed the program in such a way that it's not just for those who attend these meetings. This is offered to everyone in your organization that requires or may need or just may be interested in getting their technical aptitude up. We have a big goal, meaning that we want to increase your technical aptitude by 40%, and we want to have an influence on your digital programs that you do with your youth and increase those by 25%. If you've ever been to computer training before, you know it can sometimes be boring. And the last thing that anyone can accuse me of being is boring. So, so our approach is going to be practical, applicable, and definitely paced and not boring. We're going to issue a very quick pre and post test to make sure that we can test that things have improved through your training experience. And again, it's open to all members in this room as well as your respective staff. We have a team, Mark Anderson here at the Chicago Public Library, myself, Brooks Porter, who is a navigator, and Jenny Lockerbie, who is also a navigator, who is going to assist us with the presentation. We have a schedule that's set. All trainings are going to be held here in the U-Media space from 9:30 to 11:30. We have slated the last Tuesday of every month from 9:30 to 11:30. We'll post that schedule on the mini group as well as on We Connect Chicago so that everyone has the schedule. Our first training is WordPress Exposed. As you know, we use WordPress here in the Hive Network. Some of you may have your own websites or blogs built on WordPress, and there's always questions on what to do and shortcuts. And so the network thought that this would be a great first offering, but we do need some assistance with designing the rest of the curriculum. I don't want to just have trainings out there that people are not interested in, and then I show up ready to go and there's nobody in the room. So we want to make sure that we have the appropriate training. Again, all of the training materials, because we're Smart Chicago's philosophy is about open source and being very transparent. So it's not just about us having this information and keeping it close to us. We are going to share it. So the slide shares all the curriculum information, the keys to get into everything. You're going to have that so that you can duplicate it at your own spaces in your own communities if you so desire. We will, again, create the events and mini group, and either we're going to do an Eventbrite or we may do a Woohoo registration form. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go with it, but we'll get that together. We have a little activity. I passed out some surveys to each of the tables. If you are online, the survey is also online. I just tweeted out to the Hive Chicago Buzz the link for the survey. So if you don't want to write anything down, you want to use your computer, you can do that as well. So we're just going to take about 5 seconds, it says minutes, but 5 seconds, to write down and complete the survey. And then we're going to have a little bit of discussion at the tables, and then we'll do a quick share out on any technical trainings that you're interested that Time to Tech can bring to you. So about 5, 7, 9 seconds to get that together.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say that we're a little bit behind time, but we're not terrible. And we think it's important for you guys to have a minute to talk about what technical issues may be important to your organizations or to you personally. Mm-hmm. So it's not, we don't gotta rush it. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so 2 minutes. I got 2 microphones, that's weird. 2 minutes.
2 minutes for survey and then discussion.
Yeah, 2 minutes for survey and then discussion, and then we'll go table by table, and then I'll be out your house. Theme music. Doom, doom, doom. Another one bites dust. Doom, doom, doom. Another one bites dust. And another one bites dust. Let's go get you, too. Another one bites dust.
You perform?
I do.
Where do we find it?
I'll put that out there. I'm a poet, and I know sing a little bit, got a band, do a couple songs.
Did you tweet at Hive Chicago Buzz?
Yes.
So if you go to, you should be able to find it from Kyla to at Hive Chicago Buzz.
Correct.
And you're Kyla Smart.
Yeah, I'm Smart Chicago CHGO Kyla. So SMART CHGO Kyla KYLA.
Yeah. So now you're gonna get like a dozen, 2 dozen, 10 dozen more followers.
Followers, and more importantly, surveys. We need surveys so we'll know what we're doing. Okay, 1 more minute on the surveys and some conversation, and then we're going to go table by table.
That sounds great. I'm going to email you more. I'm sorry I got to run off. Thanks.
Okay, you guys ready? Share out, you ready? Who wants to go first? Volunteers. So maybe start singing again. Come on. Volunteers. Okay, let's go here.
Should I say what I'm interested in?
Yeah, well, what the table is interested in is what you think is.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I'm from the University of Chicago. I do education outreach and programming.
Okay.
So one of the things that I really had to catch up on super fast was WordPress. So that's
This mic. Here, why don't we? Here, yeah. Sorry, I know it's bad.
Hey, hi, I'm Radha. I'm from University of Chicago, and I joined as the science outreach person in two of the science institutes there. And though I'm fairly technically literate, one of the things that I had to catch up super fast was hosting their website. And so WordPress is very useful. And one of the things that I didn't see here, but I would imagine would be useful for everyone, is how to deal with analytics for how people come on their website and how many use it. And so,
Okay, very good.
One suggestion.
Awesome, thank you.
Would anybody else like to share out things that, awesome, thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Geddes. I am the new director of marketing at the Chicago Park District. And I circled all of them because we need all of them. One of my charges at the Park District is to kind of move us into the digital space, which we think paper is for everything. And we talk to everybody the same way, and we have different audience segmentations that we need to talk to. And so when we speak to teams, we are not the most cool. Okay. And so I would love to be able to take them in the space. We just, for people that are here, we just got approval for an app, and that was like moving mountains.
Okay, good.
So it's things like that we know we have to be in the digital space to talk to teams. Okay. And so I would love all of this to come and help us with all of this. Perfect. And you perform.
Oh, I can do that too.
Thank you so much. All of them is good. Don, you wanna?
I'm Don, the executive director from Donna's House. I too circled lots of things on the list, but I added also Salesforce, which is for us is basically just like a foreign language. Okay. And it's not as easy to access like their trainings.
Right.
It's not. So that would be helpful.
Very good. Yeah, we can actually do Salesforce.
Awesome. These are great examples of things that we could use some help with. Why don't we do one more? Because I think what this might help people do is realize the scope, right? So some people might not be thinking about the scope of possibilities. And so if anyone else wants to share out another example of a thing that the organization could use some support with. Oh, excellent. Great, Brandon.
I want to second Salesforce, but I'm Brennan from Make the Challenge, sorry. Hey, I want to second Salesforce, but then I also wanted to figuring out how to use like infographics and visuals to tell your stories without having to hire always a graphic designer would be a nice thing. Also, like what tools are out there to help us do that?
I think on the survey there's digital storytelling, and within that piece of training has a lot of software of how to tell your story really easy, like just putting in focus areas or keywords, and then graphics actually magically appear for you. So we can assist with that definitely.
Awesome, excellent.
I think Sam had something.
Sam, you got a thing? You using touch or anything?
Oh,
I know
okay,
you
gotcha. Okay, cool beans, thank you. I'll collect the surveys so you guys can pass them to the back. I'm back there somewhere. So just pass them back and I'll grab them.
Awesome, we're gonna get those surveys to Kyla. Thank you so much, Kyla, both for preparing this awesome program for our members and also entertaining us with your beautiful voice. So this is sort of the wrap-up period for some of the more like member and staff facilitated portion of the meetup. I'm going to close out by saying the next thing we're going to be transitioning into is our Moonshot work for the remainder of the meetup. And we're going to do a couple things when we do the Moonshot work. One of which is going to be doing a quick recap of some of the things that came out of High Chicago Buzz. We're going to do like 2-minute recaps for all the sessions that are represented here today. But I wanted to touch on another thing, which is related to Sam's thinking about balance and us thinking about how do we improve some balance and improve some of the time management that's been required to steward this stuff. And create better pathways within our network to distributed leadership. And I think the two things we're really aiming towards, and it's a work in progress, I think some of you have really in interesting and well thought out ways pointed out the flaws in some of the systems that we're implementing to steward this work. And that feedback is always so helpful for us because we're with you, we hear you, and we're working in that direction. It's a work in progress. So the two things I've said before, we're working towards more of a homago experience, one where you can come into our meetup and hang out, and when it transitions into a place where you're no longer interested, you can step out, or you can stick around, or you can skip the hangout part and come in for the geeking out, right? And so the way we're even structuring this meetup is an attempt to transition from a more informal to a more targeted, focused activity. And the other things that we're trying to make more visible and clear to you guys are, for example, the advisory committee. So the way we're structuring our advisory committee is so that every Moonshot group has an advisory committee representative. And we're gonna move, for those of you who've been accountables this year, we're gonna move some of that logistical and strategic conversation around where Moonshot's going and how do we steward them to the advisory committee conversation. So your Moonshot reps will really be the people who can get to let us know what's working and what's not in a targeted and concentrated and focused way. However, we want as many of you as are interested in leading projects, whether they're funded or unfunded, and hopefully projects that always touch on your responsibilities in your day-to-day work. We want the work you do here to connect to the things you're doing back at home. And so the accountable roles are for people who are leading solution ideas or curating our solution space, which is the Moonshot groups, right? And those are roles that have not necessarily responsibility of doing all the work. The work needs to be shared amongst all of us in the work that we do. But the accountable roles are more about having a little bit of that vision and also that awareness of what is happening. Being able to report on how those projects are moving, not doing all of the work. If we're not able to share the work, then it's not sustainable. And those roles are going to be important, and they feed into each other. So one way that we envision advisory committee members being populated is through these Moonshot initiatives. If you're looking for more of a leadership role in this and more of a representative role in this community, then get engaged in this work and become better aware of it so you can represent it well. That's kind of the pathway we're trying to create, as opposed to these more ad hoc ways in which the advisory committee was historically selected. We'd love to hear your feedback on how you feel about that. And that also isn't a prescriptive thing. Just because you've been working on one Moonshot doesn't mean you can't be an advisory committee member and represent another. So it's not a prescriptive thing. It's more of a descriptive process that we want to steward. And we're gonna have 3 monthly convenings now. So for those of you who've been accountables, you've had like 4 at this point a month, and those of you who didn't even know that some of those were happening. And so we're making those really explicit too, so that you know if you want to get information to us, when we're gonna get it. Advisory committee meetings are gonna be the second Thursdays of every month. They've been and they will continue to be. That's when those people are gonna meet. And if you want us to hear something, telling an advisory committee representative what you need us to know will be a great time to do that then. Our meetups will proceed as we always have, with structuring the time in the way that we just did today. We're experimenting with that a little bit. And then we're adding the fourth week of every month, and I think it might be on Thursday. We're gonna check to see what day might be best. Starting in March, a community call that will be led by Elsa and will be a combination of programmatic initiatives that we want to share out and the Moonshot work that we want to share out, and the ways in which those things connect, because that's where we win, is where we find balance between the things that we're already doing and the things that we agree are the important goals and challenges that we're moving towards. So the community call will be an open forum. That's where we can really just share anything. So that's the structure we're going to work with this year. It's not all 100% nailed down. The calls will start in March. This is a time to give us input on all of these ideas. So please be vocal about it, to advisory committee reps in particular, because they'll be able to communicate that directly to us. Finally, just so you have I always skipped too fast. I'll bring the dog. So thank you for coming out on an extremely cold day. I hope you enjoyed it as much as this guy did. And I was going to show you our feedback form, which we'd like you to complete now or in the next hour and a half if you're here, or before you leave. We have iPads with a feedback form loaded up on it. So please provide us feedback on this meetup, on how we're doing. There's the "is Hive on the right track" question that often people are like, I don't know what this means in the comments. It means what you want it to mean. That's an open area where you can give us feedback on, do you feel good or not about where we're going, period. And then say what you want to say about that. Our next meetup will be here again in a month. We're going to be focused on more of a reflective meetup about how things have been going for last year. So it'll be a little bit about our values and our work and reflecting on some of that. We've got an NYU report to share and other bits of information. So that's all of the sort of formal programs. And did you want a closing remark?
I did just want to take a
moment.
moment.
Or not in front of the dog?
The dog is cool.
Okay, cool.
I'm down with the dog. I actually really like the next one too.
Oh,
yeah.
I wasn't sure which one to use, so I took it out. Oh, it was Bill Murray from Groundhog Day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to, since we referred to our advisory committee members, just ask them to stand so that you see who they are. In case you don't know who they are, Jeremy Dunn from Chicago Public Library, Manhwa Lee from Street Level Youth Media, Heather Schneider from Shed Aquarium, and David Bell from Peggy Notapart. Oh, sorry. That's so wrong. I'm sorry. Hermania Solarsano from NEIU. And you'll notice that 5 of them are standing and that there are 6 spots, which means we have a new advisory committee seat that we need to fill with a new representative. It's important that you know who these folks are because they are here in part to represent members, in particular new members. And so they're even assigned as mentors to new member organizations, so you can reach out to them if you have questions. How does this thing work? Just give me some advice or how to connect. I'm looking for a partner like this. Do you have any ideas? That sort of stuff. Also, feel free to go to them if you have issues or concerns that you don't feel comfortable bringing to me, Robert, or Elsa. It's totally open. You should feel empowered to do that. But I guess I just wanted to note, keep your eyes open for announcement about nominations for a new member of this advisory committee. The expectation is that at some point, every Hive member organization will bring forth someone to serve as a member on the of the advisory committee. It's an 18-month term. There's a $3,000 payment that goes either to your organization or to you, depending on your agreement with your organization about that. And so be thinking about folks who you'd like to nominate, including yourself. Self-nominations are totally fine. And we'd love to get that seat filled to continue to support what you do with the help of this strong group. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. That's the feedback form again. Grab that link. What we're gonna do now is like a quick break, breather. You can run to the bathroom and then reassemble in the Moonshot group seats. I'm gonna put up the map in a second with the tables. So I'm really just talking to give you a chance to copy down this URL so you can provide some feedback. It's easier on the internet than on paper because you can type, and that's faster for some of us. Saves trees, stuff like that. Okay, I'm done installing. And so here's the map of how we're gonna get rearranged. Roughly, we know that there's more people here than there are tables and stuff like that. So just be as supportive as you can be to other groups that need more space. And you're free to move your group somewhere else or like move out to the walls, rearrange chairs a little bit. Just don't carry them too far because I don't know if the rider for the library covers you carry chairs around, but it doesn't matter. Cool. Thank you so much for being with us. And we'll do the Hive Chicago Buzz shout-outs in a few minutes. Thank you. The front is 1B and 3A. 1B is where Rabia is sitting right here. That's the teen council group where some of this is a little outdated, pardon the confusing whatever, I haven't remade the slide. But roughly it's right. So some of this isn't quite right. Just go with it, figure it out if it's a little wrong. All right, we're gonna get started on doing share outs from Hive Chicago Buzz in just a minute or two. So if you are a person who's got something to share, prepare to take the mic. We'll pass the mic around, and I'll flip your slides. So gather your groups and prepare for your share out, and prepare to make some progress. All right, I think we'd like to get started now, so if you wrap up your convos, grab a seat. This does not mean that you have no opportunities to talk to anybody again, but I do want to get through the Hive Chicago Buzz share-outs, and then you can sort of resume some of those conversations. Again, we'll be here till 1 o'clock. As long as you leave no trace, you're welcome to stick around with us and get some work done. So I'm sorry to be a little bit, heavy-handed right now. Cool. Yeah, come on. All right, people.
I will take my chair so you can put your chair. Okay. Move your chair.
TV is important. Oh, we have on the mic now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. So, I don't know what order I put things in here, but I'm just gonna flip around. All right, everybody, we gotta get started because some people have to go. So I'm just gonna talk over here, which I hate doing, but here we go. So, we had an event. I don't know if you know about it, but we had it. It was in January. Sam showed an awesome video. It'll be live soon too, and you can see it again. And at that event, we really tried to move forward on some of our solutions, and through a balance of getting things done and talking, that hopefully was healthy and effective. And I think at the end of the day, not everyone could stay for the whole day, but we had an amazing share out. So we want to recreate that really quickly. And we're running late today, so these are going to be super rapid fire. So we got to be all in. And I split you guys into 2 slides just because it fit that way. So Hillary's going to lead off with telling you about what the youth.
Hi, I'm Hillary from the Art Institute. The high-level youth engagement group has been working for months, and Manuel's really been leading an effort to bring young people together to talk about what they know about Hive. These are Hive organization youth who are represented from multiple organizations. So we've met a few times with them to get a sense of what they know about Hive and what they want from Hive as a way to bring their ideas and perspectives into these conversations, because we know that this is a space where we're representing youth voice, but not necessarily directly involving young people in our work. And that's been something that we've been trying to tackle, but this group of young people has great ideas. They're really interested in planning events and doing things to get each other kind of knowing what's going on around the Hive and connecting with teams from other organizations. But the questions that keep coming up for us as the Moonshot and other staff around the Hive is how we bring youth voice directly into this work in these meetup spaces, not necessarily just having us represent what young people said in meetings and then translating that back and forth to them. We also really want to make sure that we're bringing young people to the Hive decision-making table, and we acknowledge that that happens here on Thursdays from 9 to 12. And so how do we bring young people to this space? And sustainability is a question that I think we're all thinking about with this work, and how do we connect it to what we're actually doing and not just create a whole separate youth council program for Hive. So at the Hive is 5, Hive Buzz, we came up with a solution that was about involving young people in the Hive as members. And this is very analogous to what a membership looks like for adults. That member organizations would have a youth representative that would come to Hive meetups. We'd have to work with schools and CPS to get them out of school, perhaps give them service learning hours for this commitment. But their commitment would be very similar to what we do, so that they would actually be present consistently every month, sharing their perspective and also being able to influence the decisions that are made in Hive. So our next steps are to think about what that looks like, think about what needs to change in terms of membership, but also in terms of what the meetups look like in order for that to happen, and think about how to continue to connect with those young people who've been working with us to make sure that we're not leaving them out in the cold and ignoring their ideas for this year, but really involve the youth council or involve this group of young people more directly in these conversations consistently.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I think one of the great bits about this is the way in which it's actually trying to change how our network functions, and that you have an ability to have an influence in that, and that becomes a conversation, is really cool. So it's not limited to things, you know what I mean? Like, we can actually change how we use our time. So Dave, do you want to go next, just because you're standing right there? Awesome. I'll find your slide.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Dave.
We are, as Elsa called it, the ultimate on-ramps group now. But at Hive is 5, we did actually 3 different things. This one just shows 2 of them. So we did looking at tools for aggregation and dissemination of learning opportunities. We kind of looked at all the things that are out there to kind of aggregate all of the information we have. Karen Jeffrey kind of showed some RSS aggregation capabilities and tried to explain those. We narrowed down some potential metadata fields that we might want to use with an RSS aggregator. And then just Tuesday night, we were at Open Go Chicago Hack Night and kind of talked about it a little bit more with some of the folks there, which was cool. We were going to do asset mapping conduits and nodal points for information dissemination, but never really got to that. But that one is things that we've talked about over the past year, just kind of crowdsourcing our collective knowledge as to like how information is getting directly to youth. So libraries, churches, park districts, things like that. So trying to really get some of that information together is another thing that we want to work on. And then I don't know if Jen, do you have a separate slide or?
I don't have a separate slide.
Why don't you come up here and share? Come share.
And so the other group that we had was talking, the other group that we had was talking about, so developing a toolkit. So I don't know if any of you saw my, oh, sorry, hello people. So we posted like, we're trying to develop a toolkit. So the first thing that we want to start with is this, what are the structures of a toolkit? What are the components? And we did a lot of sort of brainstorming around what is a marketing strategy? What is the outreach strategy? What is the content strategy to help sort of create this thing that we can share with communities? So if there's like a community organization says, I really want to get this, something like this happening in my community, how do I do that? So being able to develop a resource that we can begin to share with those communities in a very accessible and easy way. So that's part of what we're going to be working on today, is just start developing like sort of what are the components of a toolkit that we need. So if any of you have happened to bring a toolkit with you or are willing to just email it to us, doesn't have to be related to youth, just any type of toolkit structure that you've either used or have developed, please share that with us.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. And I think what's cool is both finding new tools to solve old problems, but also really understanding what the old communication channels are. So Jeremy's going to talk a little bit about the think tank group and what they were able to accomplish.
Resolution is really messing with this image I curated from the NASA website, which shows kind of some infrastructure being developed on the moon, which I thought was kind of cool. So anyway, we are the think tank group. So we did, it's a pretty cerebral group, as you might imagine, but we all have very well developed frontal lobes. So I think we made some progress. We started talking about our kind of the big giant goal of being able to help Hive member orgs measure our collective impact over time. And that would be kind of a far-reaching goal if we would be able to do that. But then we really focused on what do we need to do now to build up to that. And after talking about different needs and also the ethical requirements around use of data, we arrived at what we really need to do next is.
More that way. The camera's there. Okay.
Oh. What we need to do next is develop an evaluation tool for Hive member orgs to really be able to assess where they are currently with their own use of data and tools. So that's the first thing we're going to be working on. And to integrate that into a professional development session that will happen sometime during 2015. So that's
cool. Very nice. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Yeah, applause are totally should just applaud. Don't err on the side of applause. All right, here's Heather first, and then Jennifer.
No. Okay, cool. All right, so I am with the transportation group and worked on one of 3 different projects that were hacked on during the hack day. The one that I was working on was looking at building an event attraction that collects data as well as provides real-time visuals of our youth transportation and the landscape and where they're coming from and where they're not coming from. So at the day, what we really focused on is
what do we want to know? Why do we want to know it? So like, how are we going to use that information? And then how are we going to get it? So really looking at what do we want to know? We really want to know where our youth are coming, how they're getting to us, how long it takes, what types of transportation, who they travel with, so we can better understand how we can provide even more easy access to get to our amazing programs, but also so we can see where folks are coming from and maybe not coming from, and why aren't they coming to us from there? Is it a transportation issue? How do we reach out to that group as well? And then kind of look at how do we get that information. So we really focused on the collecting part, how we can get information from youth who are coming to our programs. And what we kind of decided on was an interactive online survey, and I put survey in quotes because we heard from Youth Voice at Hack Day that don't call it a survey. So a title yet to be determined on what this actually is, but it's getting information from them. That's just a quick screenshot of what our draft kind of survey looks like online. And next step is really to create a timeline for completing the survey, identify organizations who would want to help test it out, and then kind of compile initial results and then kind of regroup on some next steps. And again, I was just one of 3 transportation, and here's Jen with another.
Yeah, so the other 2, one, Jackie Moore is not here, correct? Great. So yeah, I'll just talk about hers real briefly because they're really moving forward. She was handling the Wigglers group, so that is coordinating like ride sharing amongst teams that are moving to programs. And they actually, I think, have a meeting tomorrow. They're building out a web-based interface so that teams and organizations can check in, let people know when you're heading to a program, and then they'll let the teams know if there are other people on the way or if there's like a ride share going there. So that's moving ahead. And then what I worked on is represented by this picture here. We had a group, and Andrea and Free Spirit Media was part of it as well. We had a group working on youth-produced CTA videos to help other teens learn sort of the ins and outs of using public transportation. And so we tried to document this on our blog that's for the transportation group, which is accessible through the Hive website. But basically, we collected the pieces of information they thought it was important for younger teens to know, filmed a couple 30-second like PSA type of videos, and then hopefully are hoping that other people pick up this work, and some are. So Jamila from ASM is working with Westtown Bikes. They have a proposal in currently to do some bike safety things, and then Spark. Is anyone from the Spark program here? Oh, hi. So then they had brought up, they're actually bringing to the Adler's Random Acts of Kindness event a challenge around helping kids safely get to programs. So thanks.
Oh, wait, that's all I get. Oh, no. That's really dark. I can't do anything about that. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Jackie Carmichael from Project Exploration, and I'm representing the school Hive group with Hermania. So our goal for the Hack Day was kind of to isolate where our group wants to go. So over the past couple of months, we've had a lot of great ideas come in and a lot of great points of view. So we wanted to get kind of all that in one room and really look at what can our group do to better connect the great work that we're doing with the educators in the classroom and the students and things like that. So ours is very dark, so I apologize, I can't read it. But the first one, our goal is to identify 3 to 5 connected learning schools, and 3 to 5 school Hive teacher liaisons. So teachers who already know about connected learning or are willing to, go to informational sessions about it and really emphasize that in their classrooms, since that is very much what our programs in Hive are geared towards. And then,
sorry.
Okay.
Don't mind. Sorry.
You're good. Our second bullet, I didn't memorize it, but I think Tina, yeah. The second bullet was about working with other Hive organizations who have professional development opportunities to create a Hive PD calendar. We're really thinking about this not necessarily in terms of building brand new events, but maybe collaborating on events that are already happening, as well as possibly creating some brand new events for teachers around connected learning. Thanks.
Awesome. I think Kat, all right, thanks a lot, guys. Sorry about the brightness situation. Stand ish like here. We're on here. Cool. Yeah, no, you guys can talk together. Yeah. Wait, that's it.
Okay.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so hi, I'm Ravi again. So the parent engagement group had 2 sessions and both connected but slightly different in their focus on audience. So overarching, our goal really is about helping the Hive understand how to better engage with and connect with parents in ways that they can be advocates for their youth in participating, that they can learn themselves from the programming, and so that we can also get their input and their investment in the work that we're trying to do. So our group really focused on supporting Hive member organizations in doing that kind of work. And we took a strategy of deciding to build a toolkit for Hive organizations to help us more effectively engage with parents. We knew from some initial conversations last year that a number of organizations have a lot of strategies for engaging with parents, have some data on that, have some experiences to share, and others were really interested in doing that kind of work, but really were struggling to figure out how and what does it look like and what does that mean. So we also have taken a toolkit approach. We are super jazzed about Jen's posting on Minigroup because we want to connect and learn from and hopefully contribute to what you're doing. So we started last year with a survey. Some of you took it, so thank you. Asking organizations, what do you do with parent engagement? What does that mean to you? What would an ideal parent engagement look like? You found all the data.
Yeah.
Well done. So we took that data great, good job, Barbara. We took that data and had some really good feedback about some of those questions. And at the hack session, we used that to develop, these are just snapshots of our whiteboarding, to talk about what should a toolkit include. We then did a deeper dive into each of those sections, which is in that kind of section at the bottom. So we pulled out some detailed content and resource lists that we would want to include. We then started to draft the wireframe. So we want this to be an online, shareable, buildable, open toolkit that people can access that has links, resources, etc. So we built that out and then have started putting that into a Wikia form so that we can start to really populate those different areas, test it out with this group, and then use it as a system. So our kind of work now is to curate some of those resources and links to populate the Wikia site more fully. We'd love to connect with Ultimate Hub, so we're going to do that for sure. Launch the pilot toolkit and get some feedback, and then ultimately also plan some parent engagement sessions that are Hive wide, Hive network wide, and get some input and also coordinate with Kat's group.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, great. So hi guys, I'm Kat. The other group at Hive is Hive, we were working on connecting learning out of school, why it matters for parents and guardians. And one of the things we realized this fall as we were starting the parent engagement work is that there's lots of messaging around connected learning and badges, but most of it's directed at us as educators, and there's not a lot of messaging for parents, for engaging them in the work we're doing, and I'm trying to bring them on board as stakeholders, understanding what we're trying to do with youth. So we partnered with the Chicago City of Learning, who's also working on some of this messaging, and we brought connected learning resources with us to Hive is Five. We spent the morning sort of combing through those and trying to pick out the key messages that we thought would be most relevant to parents. And we did a lot of brainstorming, post-it notes, and pulled them all together on this website that you can, this is probably too small for you to see, but it's posted on Civic Artworks, and we'll shout it out on Minigroup at some point. So we curated some messages, and our next steps will be getting these out in front of real parents, so you can see what resonates and what we need to tweak to make it better.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. All right. Well, so as you can see, there was a lot of activity that happened in the Hive Chicago Buzz. A lot of things that move forward actually really quickly in very exciting ways. Almost entirely all of that information is stored in one way or another on Civic Artworks, which is what we were using to capture ideas and work that we were getting done. So those Civic Artwork pages, those like groups where you can find these ideas, are linked from the Hive Chicago website through the Moonshot pages. So you can get to all these things. It takes a couple of clicks. We go to moonshots on hivechicago.org, click through there, and you'll find the Civic Artworks page for each one of the moonshots. So you can follow up by commenting on these ideas, sharing out ideas in that space, or contacting those people individually, whatever works best for you. All right, well that was what happened. Mr. Sam Dyson.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that several people mentioned Minigroup and sharing things out. If you don't know what that is, please talk to Robert or Elsa so that you can get access. I guess, Robert?
It's a good point. If you don't know about anything we are saying, whatever it might be, which is probably half of what we're saying, please come see us, both me and Elsa, and we can direct you from there. If it's like really like I just need to get on mini group stuff, you can talk to me. If it's like how do I get involved in this programming, else is probably the right direction. And there's all sorts of things in between. Okay, actually, here's the last thought on all this. I hope while you were listening to this, you were thinking, oh, I kind of am already doing that in some way. Or, oh, that would be a really cool project to submit to the RFP. Or other such thoughts that bring balance between the work we're doing that feels external and some of the internal things we're already working on. So think about how these things connect in and out and through the different tools that we have. And let's not just be doing extra work, right? Let's be integrating into the things we're doing. Okay, so that was my closing thought. If you have any questions about how to do that specifically, let's chat. And from here on out, you guys have about 45 minutes to an hour and 45 minutes, depending on how flexible your time is today, to keep going. I'm sorry we ran a little bit over. We'll keep improving our process. Thank you so much. Commence. Yay.